Welcome Audit fans to This Week in Audit. So I know a while ago I did say I'd try to make a regular show and then life got in the way. I got sidetracked, kids, work, 55 cases of academic misconduct, but now my teaching semester is about to start, so I'm going to give it a go again. Deloitte is in the news this week. In the US, they'll pay $149.5 million to the US government to settle their legal case over the audits of Taylor, Bean and Whitaker Mortgage Corporation. Accounting Today reported that the mortgage company double-registered mortgages or created fictitious mortgages, and as a result, the financial statements did not show the true financial nature of the firm. Now, remember that an auditor will be liable if they have failed to exercise due care and skill during the audit. The US courts did decide that Deloitte should have been able to detect the fraud. However, Deloitte claimed that the client's management were too tricky and clever and colluding in their frauds, and this resulted in their staff being unable to detect them. Of course, it's always easy to determine whether the auditor should have detected the fraud or not with 20/20 hindsight. If you follow me on Twitter or Facebook, you'll know that self-serve checkout theft is a favorite topic of mine. Yes, they save companies on wages, but then there's also the increased opportunity for theft. Remember our fraud triangle. People's attitudes are often that stealing from a big company is okay because they have insurance, or because they expect some theft, or because everybody else is doing it. But an Aussie company is hoping they've solved the problem of people entering their expensive dragon fruit or as onions or potatoes by designing a camera system to identify goods rather than scan barcodes. This is one I can't wait to see in action, and I'm waiting to see what sort of hacks people are going to try to work around the system. My last story of the week is about melons. That's right, melons. Here in Australia, 4 people have died over the last few months from listeria infections contracted while eating rockmelon. According to the food safety authorities in Australia, listeria is a bacteria that can cause serious illness, and in those who are immunocompromised, the possibility of death. So what does that have to do with auditing? Australia has 250 melon growers who produce 217,000 tonnes annually. Rockmelons are grown for sale in November to March. So what happens when health authorities warn pregnant women, the elderly, and the immunocompromised not to buy rockmelons? Well, that means that the sales for all products across the board plummet. This week, the Australian Melon Association, and yes, there is such an organisation, was out talking to the media, encouraging everybody who was not immunocompromised to buy rockmelon. Who was selling the growing or affected melons? Was it all growers? In reality, it was just one. One farm had affected rockmelons. They were removed from sale quickly, yet all growers were affected. I mention this case because it's easy to forget that businesses are affected not only by their own actions, but by what happens to others in their industry. Here we have a clear business risk for agricultural firms. Would this be an inherent risk as well? Is there an increased risk of material misstatement? I would say maybe. How will you account for losses from having to dump unsold stock? You can't keep rockmelons on the shelf for next season. This may create a material uncertainty around the going concern assumption if sales are so low that some growers could not afford to pay their debts as they fall due. So that's all I have for this week, folks. Links to these stories are in the comments. Remember to give us a thumbs up, a like, or a subscribe. Catch me on social media, and fingers crossed I'm back next week with more audit news. Bye.